He once wrote of himself, "This was a life well spent. First, in the pursuit of family and spiritual values, then to a career devoted to the armed forces of the nation."
8th Cavalry Regiment in Korea, he organized a squad from his company and led an attack on a fortified ridge.
General Delbridge attended the Command and General Staff College and the Army War College. He also
fought in the Vietnam War from 1967 to 1968 with the 9th Infantry Division during the Tet Offensive. Placing Colonel Lennon's ring in the crucible are his daughters, Mrs. Martha Schultz, Mrs. Mary Jane Lennon, Miss Deborah Lennon, Miss Rachel McMorrow, and Miss Rebecca Lennon.
At Pease and Curran Refiners in Warwick, Rhode Island, the West Point tradition continues. Since 2001, gold from class rings worn by graduates has been donated, melted, and mixed with new gold to make rings for the following year's first-class cadets. A small amount of gold is preserved after each melt to ensure that every graduating class will have gold from all of the donated rings since the program began.
The reason I came today was to place my father's ring, class of 1944, into the crucible at his request. This was a long-standing request of his, and it was an honor to be here today to hear the stories of the other graduates that also were donating their rings and their legacy, their story. To be a part of that was just historic, heart-wrenching in some cases, and mindful in many others.
Well, today is a very special day for me because I am honoring my grandfather, Colonel Thomas O'Neill, who's class of 1934, and for the past 12 years I've had ownership of this ring, and I took this ring through 2 combat tours in Iraq and as well as a couple of years in Afghanistan. And I believe that my grandfather would be incredibly pleased with this function and the opportunity to give back his ring to the class of 2016.
This year, the class of 2016 received 34 rings, bringing the total number of donated rings in the program to 356. The rings were placed into a crucible, melted in a furnace, and molded into a gold bar, which was then presented to the class officers. The single gold ingot represents the service and sacrifice of West Point graduates who once wore the gold. To conclude the ceremony, Cadet Kieran McMahon handed over steel shavings from the World Trade Center, which will be added into the gold to make the rings for the class of 2016.
I think the event is incredibly moving because reading the biographies of these remarkable men that we've been privileged to have in our lives is so touching. And my husband would be very gratified that the ring that for him was a tangible link, it's now part of something other cadets will treasure.
I think to the class, it truly means that we're on an incredible path. I think it reminds us of that. It's deeply touching and moving to be able to meet and speak with the family members or personal donors, a part of the gold that's going to go into our rings. Because when you meet them in person, you're able to talk to them and hear the story that they have to tell, what that ring saw, how it influenced their life. And it's truly more than just rings for us. It's an experience, it's a commitment, it's a promise.
The Association of Graduates absolutely made my getting through such a difficult goodbye, they made it possible. And they helped me get through it with some grace and with encouragement.
When they actually took the gold out of the furnace and poured it into the thing, it was so fiery. It was intensely hot, which is indicative of these graduates that are coming along intense, made of steel, made of gold. That's just, oh, it's deep.
The ring melt isn't just a stepping stone towards getting our rings into graduating. It's more of a reminder before we actually leave the academy that you signed up to do something greater than yourself. And the long gray line, it stands for all those who have. And the people behind us served our country, our nation very well, and they expect us to do the same. And so it's up to us to live up to that expectation.
If there is any doubt about where it should go, what should happen to it, don't let a piece of history sit in a bureau drawer for 30 or 40 years. Share it.